One up on Wall Street. Would you invest in you?
So, greetings. Thank you so much for having me at AIBC and in Malta and investing so much in air conditioning today. It's appreciated. Today's question is, would you invest in you? It's sort of like therapy, but with more PowerPoint and less crying. So, who am I? Why would you want to listen? So I graduated from Yale and went to UCLA. And I've run 3 financial firms, a hedge fund that I've really enjoyed running over the last 6 years. Currently, I'm still running the AI-driven hedge fund. And also, I invested in a startup finally, harnessAInow.com. But none of that's important, is finding the own people inspire you and reading things that help you develop your own framework and move forward. So also, when I'm not at a desk, I like karate, squash, chess. Also, unfortunately, I like Nutella and pastries, but anyway. Okay, so anyway, the reason I'm giving the speech today and what really inspired me was about 30 years ago, I'd gone off on my own as an entrepreneur. And I had a computer consulting company. And but it was like a bad first experience with entrepreneurship. We had the worst clients, for me anyway, universities. I was up until 11:30 every night. It was really competitive. There were always delayed payments. And so finally, after about a couple of years, I just sold out to a big publishing company with the same client base, Peterson's Guides in in Princeton, New Jersey. And so during that year's period where I was working for them, I went to Los Angeles to visit my sister, who's an actress. And on her desk was a book called One Up on Wall Street. And I'm thinking, this is strange. She's an actress, not a business person. Why is she interested in this? And so I read it myself. And Peter Lynch is like the easy to understand version of Benjamin Graham, the original value investor that inspired Warren Buffett. Like if Benjamin Graham is Aristotle, Peter Lynch is Plato. It's just really easy to read and fun. But anyway, he described this perfect company to invest in. And I asked myself, is my company anything like that? Would Peter Lynch want to invest in my company? Would I want to invest in my company? And when I stepped back for a second, the answer was really no. So anyway, like the most fun thing for when I speak is when people challenge me or talk themselves. Is there anybody in the audience who just had something that really influenced them that they read earlier in their career that changed their outlook or anything like that? You're welcome to speak now or later. Anybody? No? Yes? Okay, go ahead. No? Okay, what was the literature, article, or person?
Sorry again?
No, was there something that inspired you earlier in your career?
So we are a platform provider, and it wasn't about the book. For us, it was when we are, as a platform provider, we wanted to offer for our operators everything, like all of the features, and for us it was game-changing when we understood, wow, we should not put all of that fancy features. We should focus on our good quality IT product. And for us it was, this was the game-changing for us.
Yeah. Also, thanks. Also, it's an interesting business. It's probably something Peter would like because it's sort of monthly recurring revenue. Anyway, let's see. Oh, also, I forgot my T-shirts, but I'll find you later. She gets one. I'm sorry, if you wanted a Tesla, you came to the wrong speaker, but I did bring some T-shirts for everybody. Okay, so what was this company? I mean, like, so this was like the 90s when I read this, and everybody was in the software and the internet. And then Peter Lynch writes this book about this fictional company that he wants to invest in, Cajun Cleansers. And first of all, it's goofy. It has a name like Cajun Cleansers. But a lot of the books a lot of the companies he pointed out in his books were actually kind of not only backwards sounding, they had silly names like Pep Boys, Manny, Mo, and Jack. It sounds like a Three Stooges movie, not like, this huge successful public company, which it was. But he loves goofy names. So if you have a goofy name in your company, you might already be rich. Let's see. It has a niche monopoly. In the book, anyway, they I think he described them as removing mildew stains from leather jackets in the Louisiana bayou. And nothing could sound more unglamorous, but by the same token, there's no competition. Let's see, it was a consumable product. If you make a cleaner, someone has to buy it and pay you every month. And it was a no-growth industry. I guarantee you, people from MIT and Harvard weren't going out wanting to invest in cleaning leather jackets or whatever. And then also they had strong financials. You should have no debt, equity. The people before me invest equity, so they would agree with that. And it's just, the numbers also matter. Check that out on yourself and other companies. So, during the year I worked for Peterson's Guides, I've been blowing my brains out for 3 years, and I wasn't that rich, and I was still working 80 hours a week. But they sent all the new media stuff to me, the glamorous things everybody wanted to invest in. And there's this one they didn't want to touch, which was this resume book company that literally just put together books of resumes for top 20 business schools, human resource societies like IEEE, the Engineering Society, or big newspapers like the Chicago Tribune that had job fairs. And then also later they did discs and internet. But the point is, after struggling, we had this thing that was definitely not technological, although we used the internet. And we bought it for $1.5 million in 1996 and sold it for $9 million in 1999, which is I think I looked on the internet, that's about $17 million. So I only had a little percentage of it, but it was plenty exciting if you were broke. And I sort of got the religion that you should, keep it real, basic, and simple in business. And then later, in the early millennium, I found this company that had lended to the most unglamorous used car lots. They were buy here, pay here used car lots, literally sometimes a corrugated shack in places like the Louisiana Bayou with hand-painted signs, buy here, pay here. But a lot of them were really well-organized businesses, and they're all over the country. It's a model you can replicate, and Wall Street wouldn't be caught dead. If nothing else, it's too unglamorous for them. So for 6 years, we had a really good run. After 4 years, we'd collected $35 million in payments in 1 year, about 3.5 of which was revenue for us. So it was a good business. But again, something that most dignified people in suits wouldn't want to touch. I used to say, my mother still doesn't understand what I do, but I don't have to ask for gas money anymore. Okay, so I think I spoke to someone before this. There's a nice lady who I artfully disappeared, but she does, what's a growing industry, and people have a lot of business, the data centers. But I found in Indonesia, one company we looked at buying just does the roof. It's like Siphonic Industries or something like that. And then they've got a niche business. These startup guys did the roof on the airport in Bali. So it's a good business. But in your industry, is there anything anybody can talk about who wants to talk about just this niche that everybody would look down on, but it's really a great business, not competitive? Especially if you're in something as hyper-competitive as the gaming industry, it's good to think about. Anybody? You can answer later if you want. I still have plenty of T-shirts. No Teslas, but. Okay, so this seems like an anti-tech speech. One thing that Peter Lynch always talked about was how really good companies use the technology. They don't necessarily. They're not inventing it. They're not trying to do the next microprocessor, but they're really integrating what's available into their work. And so the thing now is a lot of the risk and threats and terror of being an entrepreneur goes away because of AI and robotics. And you can't really talk about any business of any size these days, whether you're a solo entrepreneur running General Motors, that doesn't have, that doesn't involve AI and robotics. So I mean, like, it's like this perfect Wall Street analyst or Harvard grad or Oxford grad who sits next to you 24/7, costs $20 a month. They can do everything except get you coffee. They'd probably say it's not in their directive. But, and that analytical ability and research is just like the greatest thing that's landed in anybody's lap. And like, I don't think I necessarily encourage everybody to be an entrepreneur, but it's like a big tailwind. It's really the greatest tool for investors and managers since the internet. So anyway, again, is there anybody, I mean, I'll go myself, but is there anybody who has an example of in their daily life or business how they managed to automate something or reduce just recently some incredibly grubby task using AI or even a robot? Anybody? All right. Yeah, so I mean, I'll go. I mean, so my brother-in-law is a contractor in LA, and my mother was bugging him, asking him to replace these metal cabinets in her house in Chicago. And so, like, I love a thought experiment. If someone challenges me, including you guys, to use a new tool or do something, now you always want to rise to the challenge. So I just literally had him hold like a newspaper, like the Daily New York Times or the Sunday New York Times, in front of these metal cabinets. And I ran it past Grok, Gemini, and AI, the ChatGPT, the paid versions. And all of a sudden, it gave me this long, flowing essay quoting Mies we wanted Bauhaus-style cabinets, whatever that means. And they quoted Mies van der Rohe and gave us building materials. And it was just like a really terrific description. And after 35 years as those contractors, main criticism of the bid, which included like people in the neighborhood who were contractors and nearby building constructors, was that we were a day off because we didn't include the like reserving an elevator in a condo building. I'm like, Jesus, 35 years and you can't do better than that? So I'm saying, like, just the amazing acrobatics, I think, are not overblown. And we actually, I'm trying to decide, I invested in a company to do this now, the construction estimates. I'm trying not to get too distracted from the hedge fund, but it's fun to be an entrepreneur again, or anything. So anyway, if you're a Peter Lynch, and again, what I was reserving the next slide for how this stuff is happening already, but I actually met people like this after the first dinner here at Sigma in Malta. Like, so if instead of Cajun Cleansers, let's imagine you're in the gaming industry. You work in the Bellagio Hotel in Las Vegas. Forgive me, I'm American, so I'll come up with that one. So let's invent the perfect company, Spilluminati. It's got a goofy name. He lends companies with goofy names. He wanted recurring revenue. Your business has recurring revenue because it's like a white label provider. Every month you get paid. But think about it if you just had a janitorial service. It's every hour, right? Not high tech, but you get paid a lot. Then let's say the janitor unions wanted more money. What if the Bellagio just gave them money, said, we'll give you seed capital and you guys own the rest of it? Because they have zero debt and they have a client base already, they can make 25 cents on every dollar invested, and he would look at the financials. Also, let's use the AI and robotic twist. Is it far-fetched to think that a guy with not that much prospect who is a janitor can now supervise 10 robots cleaning the carpets and the floors, and people with fancy English accents picking up the dishes or taking your trays away? Well, so this is a restaurant in Singapore near Singapore National University. Since I've even written this, I've seen these robots going around the airports. I've had something delivered to my room in San Francisco with an R2-D2 look-like robot. I wrote this, the notes for the lecture, the talk in Chicago, and I looked at what it cost to get one of those things that cleans up your carpet and your floor and everything, and it was $132. So I'm talking before you needed money for venture capital, and the guys who came before me are really good. I would talk to them, but I mean, a single janitor in Las Vegas is going to cost you a lot more than $1,300 a month. And look, for that investment, all of a sudden, he's leveraged his work 10 to 1. All he has to do is supervise it, make sure everything's perfect. And he's probably a lot more excited about it. Now, of course, there are forward-looking companies that are really capital efficient, like Amazon, that have been doing this with the robots in the warehouses for a long time. But now it's really everybody. And again, $132. No arguing about who cleans up the spills at home anymore. So anyway, Olga, how are we doing on time? It doesn't say anything. Oh, I'm over time. I'm so sorry. I'm sorry. I'm half Irish. We always have 12 monologues ready to go, so we sort of get lost. But anyway, I'd love to talk to you about these things. Like I love to talk to entrepreneurs, if you're, basically clarify, simple play, dominate a niche, use your edge, think like an owner, and think like if you were investing in you, would you invest in you? And I think like it kind of clarifies the way you think a lot. So anyway, if you need to talk to me afterwards, boring is my superpower. I can talk about businesses like this forever. I'm happy. I started the AI company, although it's mostly just chit chat. We only have one product out for construction right now. And then our investors have done really well, 17 times their money in 6 years with the hedge fund. So we'd be delighted to talk to you about that. And if you need to find me, either way, there are some QR codes. And it's really nice to be at Sigma. Thank you for having me. I'm sorry I went 1 minute and 18 seconds over. So thanks.